In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful.
So the first question we're going to have to pose to Brother Noman Ali Khan, because it has to do with Musa alayhi salam, Moses. The question is, do Muslims believe that prophets were sinless, that all the prophets were without sin? And if so, how do you explain that Moses killed a person, or how do you explain the sin of Adam?
Okay. So the question is about our beliefs regarding the prophets being sinless. And the two obvious examples that are cited are, of course, Adam, alayhi salam, and Moses, and him killing a person. The story of Moses is actually the easier. Two things here. One, this is before revelation came to him. That's one. Revelation came to him on the mount. This is many years after. And two, that it was actually accidental. That the Qur'an's narration is that he was defending somebody else, and in the midst of the scuffle, he punched him, not realizing his own strength, and ended up killing someone. It was not on purpose. And so a crime that's not committed on purpose is not necessarily, from a spiritual point of view at least, not considered a sin, even though the judicial system might look at it differently. As for the story of Adam alayhi salam, and him eating from the fruit, this is something we believe. This is in fact something we believe, that he did do that, and that he did repent for it. But this is, Adam alayhi salam is not just a prophet, he's the first human being. And this is part of the story of creation. It doesn't negate the pure character of not only himself thereafter, and of all of the prophets and messengers combined. All of them. And we do hold these values because if the messenger who is going to deliver God's message, if he himself is prone to sin, he is supposed to be the role model to all of the nations and his entire people. And in our case, the prophet is supposed to be a role model for generations to come. If they themselves are made examples, if they're examples of sin, then that entire idea of them being credible role models dies. It doesn't hold any value anymore, So it is something that it's inherent in the beliefs of the Muslims that prophets are in fact innocent of sin, that they do not commit sin. However, if they do make what you can call a mistake, even though I want to use the term cautiously, this is kind of a subtle subject. I know there's a lot of commotion here, so I'll be brief. Sometimes Allah allows, in our case, in the case of the Prophet ﷺ, a blind man came to him, many of you know the story. A blind man came to him and asked him, interrupted a conversation, and the Prophet ﷺ was upset that he was interrupted in the middle of a conversation. And revelation came correcting him and asking the question, why would you turn away when the blind man came? Abasa wa tawalla and ja'ahu al-a'ma. He frowned, he turned away when the blind one came to him, right? There are a couple of things here. One, the Prophet expressing frustration, turning away, turning his face, literally, turning his face. If you can see me turn my face, it's offensive. If you were trying to talk to me and I turned my face away from you, it's rude. The person in question is who? Is someone blind. So it's already not an expression of rudeness unless it's verbalized, because the blind one can hear. That's number one. Number two, revelation could have come before then to tell the Prophet, listen, a blind one is coming, pay him extra attention. So the question arose by theologians and explainers of the Qur'an, why would revelation wait to come until after he turned his face? The entire point of it was to let people know that only God has the right to correct his messengers. We don't correct messengers, God can. And so to show that messengers themselves, it's not like they're beyond scrutiny. They can even be scrutinized, but the only one who can scrutinize them would be God himself. And so it established that kind of hierarchy, because there are religions in the world where the religious figure on top is beyond scrutiny whatsoever. Nobody can touch them. Nobody can say anything about them. They are free of any sort of criticism. Actually, there are many places in the Qur'an where Allah warns the Prophet ﷺ. He warns Muhammad. He warns him. He actually even, and some places it's all very scary language. تُرِيدُ زِينَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا in Surah Al-Kahf. Do you want worldly life? Of course the answer is no, but the question is placed that way. The same thing happens in our belief for Jesus, with Isa alayhi salam on Judgment Day. أَنْتَ قُلْتَ لِلنَّاسِ. Did you tell the people to worship you and your mother as gods besides me? You know, he's interrogated. Why is this happening? These are the noble messengers. They're so honored. But before God, they are still servants and slaves. So that hierarchy is established in Revelation. That we never confuse them with, you know, God the God of perfection Himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself. And I hope that is of some satisfaction. Barakallahu li wa lakum.